On August 4th, 2018, at Isaac Campbell Park in Titusville, Florida, a man came into a park at an event. It was an anti-violence back-to-school event, and there were over 150 kids in this park. And a man came in there with an automatic rifle and started shooting. Now, you can imagine in this situation, I would be terrified, you would be terrified, everybody would just be terrified. But luckily, there was one man who kept his cool, and he had a permit to carry a gun, and he was carrying his handgun with him. And he was able to pull out that gun and stop this man before any person was harmed. And so, this is the reason why today I want to talk about concealed carry permits and why I think it's important to have a concealed carry, and then also why we should protect that right that we have. Today, over 17 million Americans have active concealed carry permits in the United States. This is such a large number, and that's because it's so important to have a concealed carry permit, because of how many lives can be saved. Just like in the example of the Titusville, Florida example, there was over 150 kids that could have potentially been harmed, but because this one person was there and he had his handgun and he had the permit to be able to legally carry that, he was able to stop something tragic from happening. Unfortunately, we do hear about events that aren't stopped before people get hurt, but it's possible to stop these events before it does escalate to that point. So why is it important to conceal carry, and why should we do this? First of all is personal protection. Just like in this example, this man carried his gun so that he could protect himself and his family. I'm sure he had children there that he was protecting. He had family that was there. It's supposed to be a safe event, but unfortunately things don't always go as planned. So I think it's good to have personal protection always and be aware of that. Second is just to be aware of your surroundings and aware of the rights that you have. In the United States, because of the Second Amendment, we have the ability to own and carry weapons. And as long as we're aware of that right and we're doing things responsibly, I think that that's a good right that we should exercise, which is the third reason of being a responsible gun owner. It's one thing to just have a gun, but it's completely other to be responsible with that and to know safety precautions and how to use it. Another reason that I think that it's good to have concealed carry permits is because the more guns there are, the less crime has been found to happen. In areas where more people carry guns or where there's more people that have concealed carry permits, there's less crime that happens in the area. So if we want to stay safe, we need to be able to carry guns and have those responsibly. So the next issue is shall issue versus may issue. These are two separate types of concealed carry permits. A shall issue permit means that the state that you live in is going to give you a permit if you just apply for it. It doesn't matter, you don't have to do anything. You can just get a permit and carry. They don't really have a lot of stipulations or requirements to get that. Versus a may issue state is a state where somebody's going to look over your application individually, check your background, make sure that you've gone through the proper courses, and make sure that you have the proper training, and then they may issue you that permit. So it's not a guaranteed thing. And so this is what I think we should most states should go towards, is a may issue permit, because it weeds out people that shouldn't have guns, people that aren't responsible, and criminals and things like that. So a few years ago, I had a roommate. He's actually my cousin, but I was living with him at the time, and he always carried a gun with him. He had his concealed carry permit, and he carried it with him anytime he left the house. And I thought that was really interesting. I talked to him about it, and he told me his reasons for it. He said a big part was, that personal protection. But an even bigger part was just it's his personal right to carry a gun and to be protected. And so I thought a lot about that, and it made me think that maybe I should get a gun, I should get a concealed carry permit. So I looked into it. I was living in Utah at the time, and I decided to do a concealed carry course in Utah. So Utah is a shall issue state. So I went to this course. It was about 3 hours, and they only talked about the laws and, how to get a gun, what you need to do when you carry a gun, and how to legally do this. We didn't touch a gun. We didn't really even look at guns. It was just talking about the legal things of having a gun. So I'm actually an Idaho resident. I was just living in Utah for school, but I needed to get an Idaho permit. So I signed up for a class in Idaho, and this class was a full day. It was 8 hours in a classroom where we talked about the safety, we talked about the laws, and we actually held guns and looked at them and looked at all the different parts of a gun and how to safely handle that. And then after that, we had to go to a gun range, and we had to actually shoot our guns, and we had to shoot at least 100 rounds of ammunition through our gun in order to get the permit, so that we could show that we knew how to safely handle a gun and safely fire a firearm. And so going through these two different experiences of getting a permit and going through classes in two different states, it really taught me a lot about what it is to own a gun, what it is to carry a gun concealed on my person, and the responsibilities that come with that, because it is a lot more than just using my Second Amendment rights. It's really a personal decision, and it's a personal thing, and it's a big responsibility because a firearm is a very potentially dangerous thing. So why do I think you should look into getting your concealed carry permit? For one, like I said, the Second Amendment rights. It's a good exercise of the Second Amendment because, in the founding fathers didn't want us to have our rights taken away. They wanted us to be able to protect ourselves, and this is something that I think is very real. Second is personal protection. Like I've talked about, we need to be able to protect ourselves. And another thing, or lastly, is while we'll likely never need to use it, it's good to have peace of mind. And even if you do get a permit and you never carry a gun with you, that gun safety that you learn in that class is very valuable, and it teaches you a lot of things that you can use, even if you just own a gun and don't carry it, or even if you never touch a gun, don't own one. These are things that you can use with you throughout your life. So these are my sources where I found a lot of this information, and I'd just like to encourage you to go out and learn about the concealed carry laws in your state and see if this is something that's right for you. And even if you don't decide to pursue a concealed carry license, it's still a good thing to learn more about and to be aware of, just for safety and personal protection reasons. Thank you.